This is everything you need to know about flying Southwest Airlines. In this video, I'm going to share with you the Southwest boarding process, ticketing process, where they fly, just how everything works, including the rewards program and how you can score some of the best deals flying Southwest. Now, you might, if you've never flown Southwest before, never heard of Southwest before, you might say, Chris, what's an airline? How hard is it to fly an airline? Why do you need a full hour guide about it? Well, because Southwest Airlines is really a very different airline. They operate very differently than most other airlines. Their model's very different, but you can get some really great deals, really cheap prices on Southwest, which is why it's worthwhile talking about them. And Southwest is definitely the kind of airline that people either love or they hate, or maybe they love to hate, or people like Point Traveler right here on the live stream. He loves and hates on Southwest all at the same time. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about before we get into just like where they fly and how to ticket and how to actually fly on Southwest is I just want to share a little background about how this airline got started, because I think understanding this background will also help you understand their theory and just how they do business. So Southwest is really considered the original low-cost carrier in the United States of America. It was founded about 50 years ago in Dallas, Texas. And on that note of where it was founded in Dallas, Texas, I also decided to do this video because I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Texas, and we were having lunch, and I had to check into my flight 24 hours before. I set an alarm on my phone for 24 hours and 1 minute, so I made sure I checked in right on time. And when I'm telling him this, I'm like, hold on, we need to pause what we're talking about lunch because I need to check in for my flight. He looked at me like I had a horn growing out of my head, and I'm like, well, it's Southwest, you need to check in 24 hours before. And he's like, Chris, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never flown Southwest Airlines. And I'm like, then you would have no idea what I'm talking about. All right, but from their start, 50 years ago, they now have over 800 planes. They serve 120 airports. Southwest Airlines employs 74,000 employees. It's a really big airline at this point. In fact, it is the fourth largest airline in the entire world, fourth after whom Delta, American, and United. Those are the top three. Each of those, they have a little less than 1,000 planes, so Southwest is quite on the similar order of them. Now, Southwest has a different flying model than the other big carriers. Most big US airlines use a hub and spoke model where they centralize their operations in a few big airports and then everybody else gets less service and smaller planes. But Southwest doesn't do that. It often, really you would consider it a point-to-point network, that there's really no hubs in Southwest, and they're often servicing smaller airports in a region. So for example, they got started in Dallas, Texas, and instead of starting operations at Dallas-Fort Worth, which is the big airport in Dallas, they got started at Dallas Love Field. In Chicago, instead of flying out of Chicago O'Hare, they fly out of Chicago Midway Airport. Of course, since Southwest has gotten really big, they also now service a lot of the big airports too. If you look at the Los Angeles region, they are like the primary carrier out of Long Beach and Burbank, but they also now have significant operations at LAX, the big airport in Los Angeles. Now, one of the things that allows Southwest to be able to lower their cost, to pass that on in the form of lower ticket prices, is they also only fly one type of plane, this plane right here, the Boeing 737. Using just a single basic aircraft type allows Southwest pilots and flight attendants and crew to be qualified for any aircraft in the fleet without having any restrictions. On other airlines, they might have pilots available, but they might not be able to fly the plane because they haven't been qualified on that plane. Southwest also focuses on a really quick turnaround, and they have a really quick turnaround from landing to takeoff in 45 minutes, they can often do. Southwest solely offers economy class seats. They don't have any business or first class seats. It's you get on the plane and you have your choice of seats. All the seats really are in the same class. Southwest is also famous for their 2 free checked bag policy. So you buy a ticket to get on the plane and you automatically get 2 free checked bags. There's no fees for those bags. They just include in the ticket, and you can't buy a ticket without the 2 free checked bags. And they also allow free flight changes. So if you need to change your flight for any reason, there's no change fees. You can just change a different flight. If the fare is different, you'll have to pay the fare difference, but you don't have to pay any penalties. And if you want to refund the ticket entirely, they offer credits with also no fees, and the credits never expire. So then when you just book the new flight, you just pay the fare difference. And if you find a fare when you're changing that is a lower fare, then in fact you can get a credit. Really, OC Girl and I did it on our trip to Sedona, Arizona. We booked a full price ticket, and then Southwest had a fare sale, and then I went and changed my flight to the lower priced fare sale and got like $70 back on each ticket. And Southwest came with a little funny message when I did that to be like, woohoo, you scored a good deal. Yes, you're getting a refund. Yes, really. Southwest is also often known as the cool or fun airline. They even allow their employees to wear shorts. And Southwest really has a lot of people who are super fans, and then a lot of people are super haters. I feel like a lot of the people that are super haters are often because they've had a bad experience related to something they were unfamiliar with or just didn't expect. In the chat, Brandon says, it is awesome that they do all that for a fee of $0. It sure is. Taco Lover says, if you want to get the best fares, book a month in advance. We'll certainly talk about that in the ticketing. Points Traveler says, you should always check back after you've booked your flight. You can typically score a credit. And when I said, Alex says, I think you meant fourth biggest airline in the USA, not fourth in the world. No, in fact, fourth in the world. Those are the biggest airlines in the world. United, American, Delta, Southwest, top four. Then you get some of the China, this and that airlines, but yes, those four American airlines are the largest in the world. Any other airline comes in at number 5. Art asks if Southwest does international flights. Do Southwest do international flights? They do. So let's talk about that right now. Where does Southwest fly? And I'm going to go ahead and make this big while I talk through this. So this is the Southwest Airlines route map in the USA. We're going to get to the Caribbean route map in a little different picture. They started in the US. They have a tendency to focus on the USA, mainland USA. They also have flights, as you can see, to Hawaii. They've really recently aggressively expanded to all of the major islands in Hawaii. Also flights to Puerto Rico. The other international flights, those are US flights. Flights from the US to other destinations, Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. Really what Southwest advertises is they advertise their flights outside of the continental US are typically to beach and tropical resort destinations. So that's where we're gonna find many of the flights. Oddly, Southwest Airlines has no flights to the US neighbor to the north. There are no flights from Southwest into Canada, although as you can see, there are flights from Southwest into Mexico. Southwest's busiest destinations, and there was a concept about, I said like Southwest doesn't have any hubs, and people say they do have hubs. They don't call them hubs. They call them focus cities. That's what they call them. They call them focus cities. And the way like most of the like legacy carriers would do hubs too is a typical hub in American, United, or Delta is they'll have like banks of flights to be like, we have a bank of flights that come in from 8 to 10, another that come in from 12 to 2, another that come in from 3 to 5, and then they kind of like try to have flights go in and then flights go out to minimize the connection time, where at Southwest, they just kind of roll in. They roll in whenever, and if a connection works out for you, then good for you, but they're not really trying to prioritize connection time or minimize connection time or focus connections in any one place in particular. So Southwest's busiest destinations, and so their focus cities start here at the top. Denver, number 1. Denver is Southwest's busiest airport. Most number of flights going in and out of Denver. Number 2, Las Vegas. Number 3, Chicago. Number 4, Baltimore. Number 5, Dallas, where they got their start. Interesting that that's now number 5. Coming in 6, we got Phoenix, Orlando, Houston, Nashville, St. Louis, Atlanta, Tampa, Austin, Oakland, and coming in at 15th place is San Diego, Chris's hometown. Now let's talk about some of those other tropical and beach destinations. In the Caribbean, they fly to Aruba, Bahama, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Cuba, Turks and Caicos, and then down in Central and Latin America, they go to Belize, the Dominican Republic, and in Mexico, they fly to Cancun, Cozumel, Puerto Vallarta, and San Jose del Cabo, also known as Cabo San Lucas. It is interesting to note that when I said that Southwest doesn't really focus on connecting passengers, 80% of Southwest passengers are point-to-point passengers not making a connection. Only 20% of passengers on Southwest Airlines make a connection because connecting on Southwest is a little bit of a haze since they don't really focus on the connecting passenger as much as the American, United, and Delta do. Tom says, anytime I go to San Diego, I always try to fly Southwest Airlines. At San Diego Airport, Southwest Airlines pretty much has half of the airport. There are 2 terminals in San Diego Airport, and legitimately like one of the terminals is entirely Southwest Airlines. Same thing for Las Vegas. There's like a whole terminal in Las Vegas that is just Southwest Airlines operations, so much they've had like build a second terminal area. Denver is the same way. They've taken over like an entire terminal area in Denver Airport. And I think the thing where a lot of people in the US know Southwest and fly Southwest, but a lot of people who aren't from the US aren't familiar with Southwest because Southwest their flights don't show up on places like Expedia or Priceline or Booking.com. You can only book Southwest flights directly from their website. And so now I want to talk about how you can buy tickets, how they sell them, because again, they are different. So on this note of no third-party sales, that's why a lot of people just never see the Southwest route. They never see the Southwest fare because they don't come up on many of these search engines that people use to look for flights. The one search engine that they do appear upon other than just on southwest.com is on Google Flights, which is one of the things that makes Google Flights the best place to look for flights, particularly in and around the USA, because the Southwest fares will show up there. You can't like buy them from Google, but you can click like buy and it'll direct you into the Southwest website to be able to book the tickets directly from Southwest. Now, Southwest offers 4 different types of fares. And you can see them right up here. They, starting with the cheapest fare or fare class, are tickets called Wanna Get Away, and then they have Wanna Get Away Plus, and then they have Anytime, and then they have Business Select. And so you can see as you move over from Wanna Get Away to Business Select, they start becoming more money. What is the difference between these 4 different fare classes? And this is the search from the website. You search any destination and you'll get all 4 of these fare classes coming back that you can book into. So, Wanna Get Away is the cheapest, and what you get on Wanna Get Away is you get a seat, but it has like a small inventory on the plane, and so as a lot of people book it, then this fare bucket can just kind of expire and you won't be able to get it anymore. There was a comment earlier about try to book a month ahead of time, 3 to 4 weeks out is kind of a sweet spot to be able to still get these Wanna Get Away fares. You start getting in a week or 2, and then you'll often find you'll only be able to get some of the more expensive fares. Now, the next one, Wanna Get Away Plus, one of the things they offer in this fare that's different is they offer free same-day flight changes. So if you are flying from Los Angeles to New York City, and it's the same day, and there's availability on another flight, like an earlier or later flight, but the fare is more expensive on that other flight that you want to get onto. If it just has an empty seat, if you've booked this Wanna Get Away Plus, then you can change to that new flight without having to pay the upgrade on the fare. On the Wanna Get Away, you can stand by for that other flight, but you can't confirm it like you can the change with the Wanna Get Away Plus. Taco Lover, thank you very much for your support. Taco Lover says, my 83-year-old mom and I watch your videos during dinner. We really enjoy the content, and thanks for the very informative information. Is my pleasure. Taco Lover, what are you having for dinner tonight? Are you having tacos, perhaps. Okay, the next fare bucket over here, the anytime fare. What you get with the anytime fares is these fares are refundable. So the other two over here, want to get away plus, if you need to cancel, you just get a credit. You don't get a refund. But if you get the anytime fare, then you can refund it and they'll give you your money back. Again, no fees for that. You will also get the privilege to go into priority lanes to check your baggage and go to the ticket counters. They also have priority express lanes for the security lines at some airports. You get early bird check-in, which you can also buy separately. We'll talk more about that, what that means in a little bit when we talk about the check-in process. And then the most premium ticket here, the business select ticket. With this, you get priority boarding, A1 to A15. We'll talk more about what that means also in check-in. You get a complimentary premium drink on flights that are 176 or more miles, because if it's 175 miles or less, they don't serve drinks, they only serve water. You get free in-flight internet with business select, and none of the fares come with assigned seats because they don't do assigned seats. You heard me say it before, all fares come with 2 free checked bags, also the privilege to bring 1 bag on to put in the overhead and then bring 1 as a personal item. The limitations for checked bags is the maximum weight is 50 pounds and the dimensions are 62 inches. You take the length, the width, and the height, and then you add them all up, and it has to be 62 inches or less and 50 pounds or less to qualify for a free bag. If you have more than 2 bags, you got like 3 bags, then they'll charge you an extra bag fee. How much is that? $125. If your bag is bigger than that 60-ish inches, then they'll charge you $125 for an oversized bag. If your bag is overweight, 50 to 70 pounds, it's $100, or if it's 70 to 100 pounds, then they'll charge you $125 extra. The exceptions are golf bags and ski bags. Golf bags and ski bags, 1 per passenger, travel as one of your 2 free checked bags. Okay. Now, Southwest also sells this thing called early bird check-in. What's early bird check-in? Early bird check-in allows you to get your boarding pass and position 36 hours before your flight. And then you can also get there's also this upgraded boarding, which guarantees a 1 to 15 position when available, kind of like in Business Select. And it starts $15, but it can be more expensive on longer flights. This will become more important when we talk about the boarding process. Children 2 and under, children under 2, so 23 months or less, can travel as a lap child on an adult's lap, provided the adult has a seat, for free. They still need a ticket though. So you have to go to the Southwest website and you have to get a ticket and you put in their age and then they can get that ticket for free if you're not buying a seat. To international destinations, it's not completely free. You still have to pay the taxes for the lap child. For what it's worth, we've traveled with our daughter, the Curious Princess. She's 4 now, since she was a youngin', and we would always get her a seat because if you're on a flight that's longer than an hour, having a lap child can get pretty tiring. Southwest also has what they call a customer of size policy. So for customers that take up more space than 1 seat, they can book a second seat and then they have to pay for it, but then they can have the second seat refunded. They have to pay for it just because that's how Southwest IT system and accounting work. The seat needs to be booked, but then if it's just 1 person that occupied those 2 seats because they couldn't fit into 1, they can get their money back and just pay for 1. I've heard a lot of chatter in the chat about the fare sale that's going on right now, and yes, Southwest often has really good fare sales. Right now, they have this one called Wanna Getaway Day, where they're offering 50% off base fares if you use this code BDAY. This is good from today, June 11th, for the next couple days. I think it says it's till June 13th. So if you're on the fence about booking something on Southwest, take a look at some deals in the next 2 days to maybe score 50% off. Also right now, every Wednesday, they post new fare sales, so you can be checking their website for some inspiration about where to go. And remember, even if you book something, like if you have a Southwest flight, if you're watching this and you're in this fare sale period right now, if you have a flight booked with Southwest, go onto the website right now, use the code BDATE, see if it's cheaper, and if it is, change your flight and get a refund for the lower fare. The refunds for lower fares, they're not automatic. You have to notice it, and then you have to go in and do the change. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about checking in. It's check-in time now. What is check-in time if you have not bought early bird check-in, or you haven't bought one of those fare classes that check you in ahead of time or give you the early privilege to do that? Then this time of T-minus 24 hours, 24 hours before your flight is super duper critical. On some airlines, it doesn't really matter if you check in online or not. Actually, many airlines, it just seems like it's more work to check in online. And you're like, why did I do this? Because I still seem to have to do just as much work at the airport. I don't get it. But with Southwest, online check-in is critical. So it's critical if you didn't purchase early bird check-in or those other boarding things. So you will want to either really be watching your watch 24 hours before or set an alarm. That's what I do, because at exactly 24 hours before, you're gonna wanna be by your phone or by your computer so that you can check into your flight. The reason why is the sooner you check in, the better your boarding position. So at the time that you check in, they issue you a letter, an A, a B, or a C, and then a number, 1 through 60. A is good, B is okay, C is the dreaded you get on the plane last group, and good luck putting your stuff in the overhead if you've got a C. That will be illuminated as part of the boarding process. So after you've checked in online, even if you don't want to use your phone to board, you can't print or things like that, your boarding pass is secured. You can use the mobile app, you can print it at home, or you can print it at the kiosk. And if you print at the kiosk when you get to the airport, 22 hours later, it'll still print with that boarding position when you checked in. So this is what a typical Southwest Airlines boarding pass looks like if it's printed out at the airport. Tells you what flight that you're on, tells you where you're going, tells your boarding group, A, B, or C, tells you your position, 1 through 60. In this case, it was 27. And then it just reminds you up there that there's no assigned seats, open seating. You get on the plane, and it's a little bit of a free-for-all. The only time that you won't be able to print your pass or get it from the app is if you get the dreaded quadruple S boarding pass. What is the quadruple S boarding pass? The quadruple S boarding pass is the special screening boarding pass. Super special secret screening thing. I don't know what that works. I should know what the 4 S's stand for. I have received I travel a lot. So you travel a lot and you get the 4S boarding pass. They won't give it to you in the app because then I guess the theory goes you'll know you got it, and then you might want to do something different. But so if you get this, then they say oh, you need to see somebody at the airport to get your boarding pass, and you're like, oh, lucky me, I get to wear the dunce cap today. And then of course when you get to the security checkpoint, that's where you get the full pat down, take everything out of your bag, swab everything, check your retinas, your fingerprints, and draw a little bit of blood. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about the boarding process. Okay, so but before we get to the boarding process, you get to the airport, and what do you do? If you didn't print your boarding pass at home and you want to print at the airport, they all have these kiosks out there. Just go to the kiosk, print your boarding pass at one of those, check your bags if you need to check your bags, and yes, you can check in at the airport too if you forgot, but then you will likely have a C boarding group and you will have a middle seat, and you likely won't be able to put your stuff in the overhead bin. Okay, so after you clear that stuff at the front of the airport, then you go through security, and then you get to the gate, and this is what a typical Southwest gate area looks like. You'll notice this thing that's right over my head here, there are these stanchions or poles that have numbers on them, and they'll have different sets of numbers on either side, and they'll be sorted generally by numbers of 5. And so they'll have these poles that'll say 1 to 5, stand here, 5 to 10, stand here, 11 to 15, stand here, in these different sections between these poles. And then at the front, they will have a letter posted. So we take a look right here, and we can see on the left side of these posts, the people with A1 to 30 are lining up, and then the people with A31 to 60 are lining up on the right-hand side. So everybody's got a unique letter and number, so no two people will have the same letter and number. And so kind of when you go to this mob of sorts, you sort of like look at other people and you be like, hey, what number do you have? What number do you? 27, 22. Oh, okay, I'm ahead of you this way. And so there really is like no reason to line up for Southwest boarding before they call for boarding, because standing there any sooner doesn't get you on the plane any sooner. You're going to be at the same position in line as you would whether you started standing there earlier or not, because it's determined by when you checked in. And then when they board, they basically just like the horde that is standing on one side of this line, A1 to 30, A31 to 60, B1 to 30, B31 to 60, they just call for that chute of people to like walk forward and get on the plane. They scan the boarding pass, and then when you get on the plane, you pick any seat that you want to. The TV show Mythbusters found that this way of boarding is absolutely the fastest method currently in use by any of the airlines to board a plane, and on average, Southwest's boarding method is 10 minutes faster than any other airline's method of boarding planes. Now, the Southwest Airlines boarding experience generally begins 30 minutes before boarding time, because again, they're faster. You know, United Airlines, they'll often begin boarding 45 or 50 minutes before a flight, which means you just got 20 more minutes to go sit on the plane, so you'll spend less time sitting on planes with Southwest Airlines. And 30 minutes before departure, they'll ask the A groups to line up. And after they've asked the A groups to line up, then they're going to call pre-boarding. What is pre-boarding? Pre-boarding are folks that need more time to get on the plane due to a medical condition that needs to be arranged in advance. So if you feel you need to pre-board, you can go to the ticket agent or the gate agent. They have a set of fact-finding questions they will ask you, and if they determine you worthy, they'll print you a new boarding pass that says pre-boarding. Those are the only people who can pre-board, are the people that have arranged ahead of time. Anyone who pre-boards may not sit in an exit row. And people who pre-board can get one other person, essentially their caregiver, to go on with them during pre-boarding. After they've boarded the pre-boards, they then call A1 to 15. Those are the people that bought the business select tickets. Then they'll call 16 to 30, and then you just walk with your line or horde up into the plane. After they've called A1 through 30, they then ask B1 through 30 to line up where the A group used to be. They then call A31 to 60. That chute of people goes in. After they have called the A group, it's time for family boarding. But before we get to family boarding, let's talk about picking seats on the plane. One of the reasons why they don't let the pre-boards go in the exit rows, ostensibly if they have a medical condition, they're probably not super great at helping people with the exit doors. And two is the best seats on a Southwest plane are generally those at the exit row. In particular, on some of the 737 configurations they have, you will find this seat. What is this seat? This seat is the seat with the seat removed. So this is right in front of the exit door. And as you can see, I'm sitting there, those are my legs, and there is no seat in front of this seat. So this seat has the leg room of 2 aisles. It's absolutely fantastic. If this seat is open, this is where Chris is sitting, and then the row right in front of it just has 2 seats on this side. So a lot of people that are couples or things like that really like to sit in those 2 seats. But as you are getting on the plane, you know, a lot of people will pass up the front row or the first few rows because they assume that must be saved for somebody else. Those must be first class or something like that. Like front row, you can sit right there. If you are in the bulkhead seat, you can't put your stuff down. You gotta put it up in the overhead. But you know, if you're getting on the plane and you're in the dreaded C30 thing, it's gonna be all middle seats anyway, and so you might as well pick the middle seat up front instead of the middle seats in the back. Okay, so after the A groups have all boarded the plane and sat wherever they want to, then it is time for family boarding. So they call family boarding active duty, military, and passengers that need extra time. Chris, didn't you tell me passengers that need extra time come first? Only people that have prearranged to come first. In this section, it's any passenger that thinks they need extra time. They don't need to have it prearranged first. So for family boarding, it is families traveling with a child who are 6 years old or younger can board right at this point, regardless of their group. So when we go with the Curious Princess, if we got a C group, Lucy Girl and I, as her parents, can go on with her at this family boarding time. They will have families stand in a separate line over on the side to do that. It is limited to 2 people to go with the child. It does not extend to 3, 4, 5, or other people that may be going then. If you are traveling with a child and you have an A boarding group, you don't have to wait till family boarding. You can totally board with your A boarding group. All right. Now, this is like what it looks like going on the plane when, you know, you're kind of like one of the few first on board. And if you're traveling by yourself, then it is worthwhile to like keep walking to the back of the plane to look and see if you can find some aisle or some window seats. Generally, when there's only middle seats left, the flight attendants will announce it and be like, there's only middle seats left, so just grab one when you see it. What about if you and a traveling companion have different boarding groups? Like what if you have A41 and they have B32? B32 cannot board with you and A31, but you and A31 can board with B42. So if you want to board with your friends, then you're going to board with the later group. Let's talk about carry-ons and stowing those things. If the flight isn't very full, then Southwest isn't very strict with their carry-on policy. You can shove whatever you want in the overhead bins, but if the flight is near full, then they actually are pretty strict with their carry-on policy. So what does that mean? That means you get a rollerboard in the overhead or something big, and then you get something small, your personal item, in the seat in front of you. I would say they're so strict with this that if you've only brought on one small item, like a backpack or a bag, and you're like, great, I won't put that in the seat in front of me because I only brought on one thing, I will put that in the overhead. They will often go through the plane looking for backpacks and small bags in the overhead and ask people if they can put that under their seat. So do beware of that. Okay, next I want to talk about the experience going on the plane, but before we do that, I'm thirsty, so I'm going to drink. What is Chris drinking today? Chris is drinking Japanese Ringo sparkling apple juice. Really a very delicious juice made in Japan. Who's That Girl says, my friends and I have different seat assignments for different boarding groups. They will save a seat next to them. That works kind of, unless you get like an ornery person who's like, I really want to sit there. But yes, I would absolutely send somebody ahead and have them get seated and try to have them save the seat. CIAR says, I am usually a middle seat rider because my wife gets the window or aisle. And Taco Lover says, the worst part about air travel is deboarding. Just awful. Yes, and Southwest has not done anything to fix that. Taco Lover also says, it's cool that you travel with the princess a lot. She likes to travel, we like to travel, so we have a lot of fun with it. Maureen says their customer of size policy is amazing. Purchase an extra seat and ticket is reimbursed after the flight. Maureen, thank you for that data point. Yes, there was a comment about the this seat right here, the emergency exit seat, that it is a great spot to fit those size 15 shoes. Yes, very good, CIAR. Those are my 15 or 14, depending upon the shoe. Today in this picture, they were size 14 Hokas. There we go. All right, so let's talk about the experience on the plane now. So when you are on the plane, what are the drinks? Southwest offers free in-flight non-alcoholic beverages on flights that are 176 miles or more. 175 miles or less, then it's just water. So these are some of the soft drinks that you can get. And they offer alcoholic drinks, spirits, and beer for purchase. You know, these little kind of things where they give you the little bottle. They do not allow you to bring on personal alcohol. You can't bring on your own alcohol and drink it. You can only drink the alcohol that you buy on the plane. Interesting little tidbit, if you fly on a few special holidays, then they actually give free alcoholic drinks to passengers on the plane. These are days like Valentine's Day and Halloween. You do have to be 21 to get those free alcoholic drinks on those days. They also have complimentary... No, we didn't get the picture of the snacks. They also have complimentary snacks on the flights where they serve drinks. There'll be pretzels or graham crackers or something like that. Or in olden days, they used to offer honey roasted peanuts, but I feel like peanuts on planes tend not to be offered all that much anymore. All right, so to serve the drinks, this is another like unusual thing that Southwest does. They don't roll a cart of drinks down the aisle, so you can't look at the cart and decide what you want. You have to look at that pamphlet that's in your seat bag, because the flight attendants just walk down the aisle with a pad of paper and say, what would you like to drink? And they write down what you want to drink, and then they go back to the galley and they pour about 16 different drinks, one per cup, and then they bring that tray of 16 drinks out, hand them out to people, and then they go back and then they pour new cups and they bring those out. So you're not gonna get the full can of anything on Southwest Airlines, you're just gonna get it in a little cup. Southwest has also become known for their colorful boarding announcements, and so when they tell you that it's time for refreshments or this and that, you know, sometimes they have a little fun with it. CL asks if Topher, whoever's playing Topher at the time as our traveling panda, is in the carry-on or the check-in bag. Generally the carry-on bag, because we want to make sure that Topher actually makes the trip. Jake says he is drinking Toki Suntory whiskey from Japan. And we'll just pretend this is a Suntory whiskey. For relaxing times, make it Suntory time. And now somebody in the chat needs to say, more intensity. All right. Jay says these live streams are extremely well produced. Thank you very much, Jay. I appreciate it. I appreciate that we have no sound issues this week like we did last week. Oh, and if you're enjoying this live stream, I really appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button. It really helps out me and helps out the channel because it lets YouTube know that you're enjoying this video so that YouTube can share it with more people. All right, so thank you so much for hitting that thumbs up button. All right, I saw questions in the chat about what does the in-flight entertainment on Southwest looks like. So what you will never find on Southwest Airlines is you will never find any seat back in-flight entertainment. There are no seat back screens or even overhead screens. There's no screens for you to watch nothing on Southwest Airlines. They have kind of gotten with the modern times, and so they do provide in-flight entertainment via Wi-Fi. So if you've brought your own iPad, tablet, phone, computer, then you can log on to southwestwifi.com. This is a picture of it on my iPad mini that I generally travel with, and they have a selection of TV shows and movies that you can watch. There's generally not the best selection. I mean, Southwest is a discount carrier, and you're paying less generally to fly Southwest than you are the three other big carriers, United, Delta, or American, and so I don't think they pay as much for their movies or their TV shows. So I generally bring my own movies to watch on Southwest. You can also get on the internet for $8 a flight. Doesn't matter how long your flight is, doesn't matter where it's to, $8 per flight. Doesn't matter if you're connecting. If you have two flights and you're connecting, it's $8 per flight that you're on. Here's my pro tip for you, which is to hang, if you have an iPad mini, this is why I like to travel with the iPad mini. I kind of like turn it into a seat back screen. I've got the Apple case that goes with it, and so I open up the seat back tray and I slide the back of the iPad Apple case behind it, and then I close it, and then it just hangs right there on the seat. So there we go. Look, Ma, no hands when I watch Loki right there. Okay. Now I want to talk about Rapid Rewards and the rewards program on Southwest. Alex does point out if you do want a full can, Southwest flight attendants will usually give you a full can if you ask. Alex, I thank you for that data point. I think that is much more one of the like kindness of their heart rather than a Southwest policy. But it's a great point that it like absolutely doesn't hurt to ask. What can they do? Say no, and then you are thirsty. Kathy says they have an app that you can track the plane. Yes, on the in-flight entertainment, you can go and you can track the plane, see where your plane is. And Jake says some of my frequent flyer friends have started to spot USB chargers in some of the Southwest planes in the wild. Thank you for that perspective, Jake. And there was a question about do they have it or not? And so generally no, but I think Southwest is getting with the times, and they're like particularly on their flights to Hawaii, it's like 5 hours, you need to charge your device. Otherwise it's going to be like completely dead when you get there. Okay. All right, so let's talk about Rapid Rewards. So Rapid Rewards is the name of the points program with Southwest Airlines that you can earn some rewards for flying. You can earn points not just for flying, but you can also earn points on Southwest co-branded credit cards with partners like hotels, rental cars, online shopping, and dining. It is a points-based system based on the ticket cost. So members earn and redeem points based on a 4-tier scale multiplier based on those 4 fare classes that I showed you before. There's no blackout dates when you use them. There's no seat restrictions, and there's no expiring credits. You can use it on any flight that they've got for sale. Rapid Rewards points that have been earned on Southwest also do not expire as long as you are alive. As long as you haven't expired, then your points won't expire. If you book a wanna get away fare, you earn 6 points per dollar that you spent on it. If you book a wanna get away plus fare, the second cheapest fare, then you get 8 points per dollar that you spent on it. If you book an anytime fare, the next most expensive fare, you get 10 points per dollar on it. And if you book a business select fare, you get 12 points per dollar spent on it. So if you booked a $100 ticket, well, it'd be $100 before taxes. There'd be taxes on it. But if the base fare was $100, because that's what they base the credit on, and you booked a wanna get away fare without having any elite status with Southwest, then you would earn 600 points, $100 times 6, 600 points. I am really good at math. Yes. Okay, so what does it look like if you're booking with points? We're gonna make this big here. So this is the search that I showed you before. You go to Southwest Airlines, you put in a destination like Orange County to Honolulu, and it says like, hey, these are the fares. By the way, you can see the spread on these fares can be significant. The wanna get away, $271. The business select, $786. This is in dollars. But if you look right up there at the top right-hand corner of the screen, there's $1, and then there's a button that says points. So when you hit the button that says points, bada bing, bada boom, let me make me go away right here so you can see this fully. Then you can see all of the different point values that any of those things would be, plus the fee for the different tax fares. They also have the option to book like if you don't have enough points, then you can do cash and points, so you can use like all your points, and then you can use cash for the remainder that you don't have points. All right, so now I mentioned this multiplier of earning like 6, 8, 10, 12 is without elite status. How does that look if you do have elite status? Okay, so the elite status program that Southwest has, they have 3 tiers of elite status. You can earn A-list, you can earn A-list preferred, and then you can earn the companion pass. So I'm gonna walk you through these different statuses. Okay, so A-list status you earn after flying 20 flights in a year or 35,000 points that you've earned. A flight is a segment, so if you're on those like previous flights I was showing you from Orange County to Honolulu, those connect someplace, that segment would count as 2 flights. So it's one-way flights. So if you were doing this flight from Orange County to Oakland to Honolulu, and then Honolulu back to Oakland, Orange County, you'd get like 4 flights. So you can earn A-list status on 5 round trips, assuming that you connect on each one. So it's not like a huge, like a huge unachievable barrier. When you get A-list, then you get priority boarding, so you'll get that kind of like early bird check-in. You get a 25% point earning bonus. You get free same day change, even if you're just booking the cheapest fare. You get the priority lane in the express lane access on the cheapest fare that you would have had to pay more for the premium fares, and you get a special phone number you can call for customer service. All right. A-list preferred, the next tier up, basically double the requirements of A-list, so 40 flights or 70,000 points. Here, if you have this status, you get free in-flight Wi-Fi, you get that priority boarding as well, you get a 100% earning bonus, so you earn twice as many points as us nobodies, and similar access before. If you get like the free same-day change, standby priority lanes, you also get premium drinks, so you get alcoholic drinks on the plane. Yes, the Fountain Action says, hey, how are the flights from Los Angeles to Hawaii? No direct meal, I've heard. Yeah, meals are not really a thing on Southwest Airlines. They got snacks, but if you want to eat, you better bring your food on the plane. Okay, we've got one more status level to go through, which is the Companion Pass. Okay, so the Companion Pass is the top tier status on Southwest Airlines. The Companion Pass, if you've flown 100 flights and 100 or 135,000 points, in addition to all those A-list preferred benefits, you also get a Companion Pass. What is a Companion Pass? It means, just as it says right up there, you can choose one person to fly with you free of airline charges. You'll still have to pay taxes. So this means that you book a ticket and then your companion goes on the plane with you for free. You can only name one companion per year. If you have the next year, if you want to change it, you can name a different companion, but you can't your companion can't be your 5 kids and your 2 mistresses, right? Doesn't work that way. You got to pick your favorite of the 2 mistresses. The qualifying points for the Companion Pass, you can earn not just on spend with the airline, but you can also earn them on your credit card. So if you have one of the Southwest co-branded credit cards, those points go to this. It is worthwhile to note that not just the points that you've earned from spend, but also the points that you get as a sign-up bonus count to this too. So this is one of these to really strategize on if you're going for the Companion Pass. It's thinking about okay, I've got this many points and I sign up for this credit card and I get this bonus at this time, to make sure you can kind of funnel that all up to get that. It is good for the year you qualified in and then the next year. And so the other strategy on the Companion Pass is, if you're doing a bunch of the credit card signups to get a bunch of these points at the beginning, if you can muster it to try to do that earliest in the year as possible, January, February, March, something like that. The sooner you get it done, then you can enjoy 9 more months of that status in the current year you've earned it, and then 12 more months on the year following. All right, so with that, there's this thing about Chris, what about you? When do you travel Southwest? When do I recommend it? Who do I recommend Southwest Airlines for? I recommend Southwest Airlines for people who don't need necessarily all the luxuries in life. They don't need a lie-flat seat, and they don't want to deal with all the ridiculous fees and really what I'll call awful service of the real budget carriers. I'm talking the Spirits, the Air, the Allegiance, the Frontiers, the Ryanairs of the world. They've really gone to what I consider deceptive pricing practices. And so when I fly Southwest Airlines, I generally enjoy the experience because I enjoy the employees of Southwest Airlines. I enjoy their friendliness. I enjoy their attitude. I enjoy the business model. I enjoy that Southwest Airlines is not trying to cheat me. What I don't enjoy is I don't enjoy if I forgot to check in for my flight. If I'm taking a long flight, LA to Hawaii, and I forgot to check in, and I get a C boarding pass, and I'm okay, this is the time I need to pay up, and I need to pay for that early check-in because I want to get my overhead or I want to get my aisle seat. It's really good with us as parents with a 6-year-old or under, because then we're always going to board between the A and the B group. So it's really good if you have young kids. That's a pro. So there you go. For your next trip, consider Southwest Airlines if you're in one of those categories. That's everything you need to know. Let's go ahead and go to Q&A for people who are hanging out here on the live stream.
Fellow explorers, it is now Q&A time. If you've got a question, I've got an answer.
All right. BTVS says there is no reserved seating because it's faster to board. There is no faster turnaround than Southwest Airlines. It's true. They get their flights on the ground and they get them off. There is no faster turnaround of a U.S. airline than Southwest Airlines. In Japan, I have boarded a 747 going from Tokyo Narita to Sapporo Airport. The entire 747 in Japan boarded in 10 minutes. I kid you not. 10 minutes. 10 minutes, everybody was on board. But, you know, we don't all have the efficiency of the Japanese as they are boarding. Christoph says he definitely gamed the system and he got his companion pass on January 3rd. Well done, Christoph. Well done. Linda says I was slightly inaccurate that Southwest companion pass holders can change their designated companion pass up to 3 times per calendar year. Thank you for the correction, Linda. Point Traveler says Southwest generally seems to offer in the spring a companion pass bonus offer for 1 year if you sign up for their credit card. Thank you for that tip, Point Traveler. And Alex says Ryanair makes Spirit look good. Karen says when you need to get from point A to point B and you want to be treated nice. Yeah, I feel like the Southwest Airlines experience is definitely like they treat you as like a human or a person as opposed to like an object of cargo or something that they have to just toss on the plane. Tom says, when I fly, only one thing I care about is getting from A to B. During the flight, I'm either looking out the window or asleep. Okay. Roman says, aren't the seats all exactly the same? Why would anyone book Business Select? Roman, they would book Business Select so that they can make sure to get an aisle seat. Like if they like an aisle seat. I'm someone who likes aisle seats. Or they really want that emergency exit seat that I showed you. And they want to make sure that they get near the front of the plane, which means they get off the plane quickly. And they want to get their bags in the overhead. Because if you get a C boarding pass, then you might not get your bags in the overhead. You know, if you're a traveling business person, having your bags with you, quick on, quick off, those are things that are super important to people that buy those kinds of fares. Taco Lover says, great video, very informative. Thank you very kindly, Taco Lover. Okay. Jake says, this reminded me I needed to get a Southwest Airlines flight from Long Beach next month. Love their outside boarding gates. Thanks, Chris. Jake, yeah, a very unique airport if you're coming to the Los Angeles area. Long Beach Airport, there's no jet bridges there. So, like, literally you board the plane outside. Like, the airport is at ground level, and so you walk out from the gate onto the tarmac, and then they've got these stairs, and they board the plane from both sides. They board the plane from the front, and they board the plane from the back. And so if you want to know the fastest place to board or deplane, Long Beach Airport is one of them because they open up both doors and go from both places. Taco Lover says Southwest is not a first-class experience. I would consider it a upgraded budget airline. It's a budget airline, and yes, but it is. I think it is the best of the budget airlines. Grant says, what's the longest flight that you'll take on Southwest Airlines? Yeah, for me, it's kind of like a few hours, 3-4 hours. That's probably about my limit. I mean, really on one flight, about 3. There we go. I personally, we've not flown Southwest to go to Hawaii. We've not flown Southwest to go cross-country over to New York. But then again, I also have elite status with United Airlines, and so I get a whole bunch of these perks that I would with Southwest with United on the long-haul flights. So that kind of like maybe evens some things out a little bit. But definitely on the short-haul flights, like if I'm going to Las Vegas or I'm going to Sacramento or when I went to Reno, I was like Southwest, all in. Electric Rick says the longer the flight, the better the snacks. on Southwest, it's just better if you brought it with you. So there we go. Reese says the pre-boarding is getting out of hand. No point upgrading to business class just to do early bird check-in. For $20, you will be in the A group. And Narrow Road says, in order to get the current 50% off sale, you have to book through the Southwest mobile app. It won't work on the website. Thank you for the data point, Narrow Road. I wonder if that was intentional or that's just like a Southwest legacy IT issue. You know, definitely like the knock that many people have against Southwest, and I would not be complete in this video unless I said this, is that Southwest's IT systems are often considered old and antiquated. They did have a super big meltdown a couple years ago where like no Southwest flights were able to fly for weeks because they had computer problems. So I really do hope Southwest, I hope they can bring that in the future, but clearly that's one way that they keep their costs low. They don't pay very much for their software development or for their website. Jay says, what do you think about the announcement a while ago with them possibly going to assigned seating? I feel like all those headlines were blown out of proportion. I mean, this is like Southwest was like research, asking people's opinions about it. So I would think they're probably always doing research on like, do we think it could be better? Or there's some executive that got a like, random spur in their saddle to be like, we should do this. And then everybody's like, we should study it first. And then they come back and be like, I think we like the way we do it right here. Roman says, if we can get in the A group, does it mean business select for an extra $500 scam? No scam if people pay for it. Roman, I really think the people that are booking the business select fares, like often are the companies that people are traveling for. Like I think a lot, like normal people that are traveling and going on vacation to Orlando aren't booking the business select fares, but the company that wants to make sure that like if the flight's cancelable, it can be refunded, that their employee just gets like the best flight experience, so they can do business the best, then I don't think it's a scam for them. Reese says, I love that they are the only ones who still do 2 free check bags. I do too. I think it's cool. They're a holdout and they're like, we can be misunderstood, but like this works for us. Parvish says, since we were discussing Long Beach, any thoughts of Southwest getting a nonstop West Coast to New York route? Do you know why isn't there one? I don't really know why. My assumption is that those slots are very competitive, and you got to like bid on those slots, and Southwest doesn't want to pay the money that they need to get one of those coast-to-coast slots. Sir Nate says, please make a video about JSX Airlines. Thank you for the suggestion. I need to fly them first. So, but if I do that, I definitely will. Reese says from Mexico, I got something for $1. I don't know if it was a glitch. Upgrade to, I think, Business Select. Jeffy says, would you rather have no assigned seating or free checked bags? I don't know that I consider no assigned seating to be a perk. Like for me, the no assigned seating is probably one of the biggest drawbacks on Southwest Airlines, that it's like, it's a roll of the dice whether I'm going to get a aisle seat or a window seat. I'm definitely a planner, so I'm one who often books flights way in advance. I'm booking this flight 6 months out, and I'm making sure it's one that I can get the exit row. Like that's why I do on United Airlines. I'm like, this day maybe we'll go a different day because I can get the exit row on that day. So I like assigned seats. And Larry seconds the point about companies paying for those fares. Larry says my company would pay for early bird for business trips. Absolutely, I think that's typically how it is. And Christoph says, hey, to check your bags, put an AirTag or equivalent of checking a bag, and Southwest now allows you to check your bags through the app. They have a feature where you can see where your bags are. And absolutely, whenever we check our bags, we put AirTags in them so we can find out where they are. Hill says, Chris, I don't know if you answered this, but why are the majority of flights connecting instead of nonstop? I didn't really answer why. That's just what Southwest finds their passengers book. They find their passengers book the point-to-point flights a lot less than they do the connecting flights. My hypothesis as to why is that Southwest does not focus on making reasonable or good connection times like the other big airlines, United, Delta, American. They have this focus on our goal is to be able to get people, say in the US, from anywhere to anywhere with one connection. You know, like if you can go to Dallas on American Airlines, you can go anywhere from Dallas. And so they time their flights so that one flight rolls in, like all the flights arrive at the same time, and then everybody gets like an hour to mingle around, and then all the flights leave in the next hour. Where in Southwest, you're like, cool, I can get from San Diego to New York City via Denver, but my connection in Denver is like 17 hours. It's really great. You know, there's also like Southwest Airlines, and I guess this might go like why they don't have East to West Coast flights is Southwest has not flown red-eye flights for like ever in their history. They've recently announced that they're going to be doing red-eye flights, but the reason why they couldn't do red-eye or overnight flights that started on one day and ended the next day, is their computer system could not handle the flight departing one day and landing the next day. Like they had some like manual process they needed to do to be like, it's nighttime now, everything's grounded, let's go ahead and make it the next day. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's the story that people tell. Okay, let's go ahead and go.
It's the time you've been waiting for. It's time for the giveaway.
To the part where we give away a Yellow Productions crew shirt. All right, to win this shirt, or a new one, you have to answer one of my questions. And my question to you, and I will ship you this shirt anywhere in the world, is on the list of Southwest's most popular cities, where they're busiest, they got the most flights coming in and out of, what spot is San Diego on that list? You got to type a number into the chat. What ranking is San Diego on the list of their top destinations? And if so, you will win the Yellow Productions crew shirt. And do you know who guessed correctly?
And now we have a winner chicken dinner.
Congratulations to Panjo. Panjo, it has been a while since you've won a yellow shirt, so I've got another one coming for you. But you know what? I'm feeling generous today, so let's go ahead and see who was number 2 as we put this in here. Number 2, also Yellow Productions shirt goes to you, Narrow Road. Congratulations. Send me an email. Email's in the description below, chris@yellow-productions.com. I will get that shirt headed right out to you. If you didn't win one and you want to pick one up for yourself, you can do that at the Yellow Productions shop. If you wonder, Chris, when is the next live stream? Head over here to the Yellow Productions update, sign up for my emailing list, and I will send you an email as soon as I got a date and a topic. And as always, I'd like to thank all y'all for hanging out with me today. I would also like to thank all of my explorers that support the channel on a monthly basis. Thank you so much for your support. And as usual, I won't say goodbye because I'll see you in the next video.